Okay, I'm back and recording. Do you mind giving me a clean intro with name so I can get everyone's voice properly pinged for whoever's going to transcribe this?
I'll go first. We're going to go down. Virgil, you second, Matt third. All right?
All right.
Hi, this is Will Medeker here. We're talking Will.
Great.
Hello, this is Virgil, Texas.
Perfect.
Hey, it's Matt Chrisman.
Awesome. All right. So now, thank you, intern. You have their voices. Okay. So, thanks again, guys. I love the book. How many of you have read it already? Everyone?
Oh, I mean, I didn't. I don't know what's in the book at all.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I skimmed it.
Yeah.
You look at. You should check it out sometimes. It's not too bad.
I thought Ellie Valley's art was excellent.
Yeah. I was actually kind of disappointed that there wasn't a media section. I was really hoping for another taxonomy of the various. Well, why don't we use that to jump off into a first question? Like, what is some stuff that didn't make the cut as you were planning the book?
I mean,
did everything make it in?
There was stuff in the original proposal that probably never. I mean, it sounded good in the proposal, but we never. I mean, the one that jumps to mind is we had some parodies of newspaper comic strips that didn't make the cut because of legal reasons, like like apparently
Dilbert threatened to sue.
Yeah. Apparently, a state of Beetle Bailey didn't want to see him shooting kids at Kent State, so.
Oh, I didn't know that they could say they had a problem with that kind of parodying, but okay, great.
It was the lawyers who thought problem. Cowards.
Damn suits.
So my first thought upon actually finishing the book was that for something titled A Guide to Revolution, there was very little in the way of material instructions for how to revolt. What gives there?
The title is not our idea.
It's kind of a joke. So the lack of actual practical guidelines for overthrowing American capitalist hegemony, I will gladly admit we're pretty light on that because, quite frankly, everyone is. So
clear. In a late capitalist society, buying the book is a revolutionary act.
Wow.
Is the only revolutionary act left.
Spoken like a true non-capitalist. Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like there's stuttering going on, and I'm not hearing you guys sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't have any actual material ideas offhand that you could riff? Any home-based things you can do at home, arts and crafts kind of socialism?
Well, I mean, I think the whole point of socialism and political action of any kind is that anything you're doing by yourself isn't that, which would include listening to the podcast or buying the book. Doing
okay.
Even though we do it together, I would say if we're going to start with anything, it would be starting with any sort of collective action or solidarity, particularly in the workplace, would be a beginning to how one might challenge capitalism. One would have to do it starting with the workplace and with workers, employees, and especially in critical sectors like healthcare, nursing, the ports, Amazon, things like that.
Yeah.
Like, the critical choke points of sort of daily life and the ongoing, process of maintaining our economy and way of life, organizing large numbers of people to take collective action through strikes and unions and things of that nature. Like, if for instance, we could, if it were possible to get a large percentage of Americans to just, not work or not pay their credit card bill for a month, that would be my idea to start.
Anyone else?
I mean,
I don't know. I mean, it's just such a nascent movement that it's going to be found out in the doing of it. I mean, and
okay.
Cop out, but it's really the only way. Because it's not going to be people it's not going to be individuals making strategic decisions. It's going to be people moving in concert to sort of find the cracks and fissures and exploit them. And those are only going to become visible as pressure is applied, which has really only begun to happen.
Okay. Well, there's a common argument against socialism that is sort of putting the cart before the horse. Something like we have to solve racism first before tackling economic inequalities. How do you respond to that?
I mean, I'd like to hear anyone's actual plan for solving racism. That's what unifies every person I've ever heard make that argument. Is that literally none of them have an actual, none of them have even a close to a suggestion of how to do that, other than, I don't know, have people read the right op-eds or something, or make sure that there's representation at the Oscars or something. Nobody really seems to have an idea there beyond posting or pointing out racism or something individually. And protesting against racism is good, but it should be part of a broader attack against all elements of oppression in this country. And I just think that actually has a potential to move the needle in a way that I think the sort of siloed critiques don't, because of the nature that because of the fact that they are so sort of diffused.
Gotcha.
Racism in this society is perhaps, let me think about that for a second. Yeah. Racism in this society is mediated by capitalism to an extent that's greater than most other societies. So I would say that redistributive economics would go a long way towards attacking racism at its roots.
I would say, I think you're going to have, racism and white supremacy is so embedded into the culture and politics of this country. It's very hard to say, even though de jure legal racism has been attacked successfully, what is now described as systemic racism has metastasized in ways you might expect to replace formal legal forms of racism. And all of this is by way of saying, I don't know if a nationalized healthcare system, or to quote Hillary Clinton, breaking up the big banks that caused the financial crash of 2008 will cure the racism in the hearts of individual people in this country. It probably won't. However, it's still the right thing to do and should be pursued vigorously regardless.
That kind of gets to another question I have where, there's a through line in the book and your podcast about a level of disgust or disappointment towards the average American voter, whether it's because they're vile, racist, or stupid. How do we make socialism Big Ten? Are there certain voters who are too far gone we should just not try, we shouldn't care about or try to win over?
I mean, anyone who at this point in time supports Trump, anyone who now in 2018 says, yeah, this is our guy, he's good to me, I think that their commitment to just being awful and as a political project is far too strong to have any kind of meaningful engagement.
Yes, you've identified yourself as the enemy, the actual enemy of all good and decent human beings.
I mean, I think we say in the book, would a theoretical Trump voter or Republican voter out there, would they vote for something different if there were a political party or message against the economic domination of everyday American life? Perhaps. The only way we can find out is to make that case and advance that agenda. But, this idea that you can have a political ideology or have a politics without enemies, I think, is foolish. I think these people have to be dealt with in a way that I don't mean catered to or reached out to. I think they need to be neutralized as much as possible or made as much of a non-factor politically